Back in January, I posted a video about women in Indonesia being trained by the Sharia police to flog other women. I pointed out how strange it is that Western feminists and social justice warriors rarely seem to have any problem with what happens in the Muslim world, even though the problems women face in the Muslim world are typically far worse than the problems women face in the West. The obvious defense of this hypocrisy would be, well, David, we can't focus on the Muslim world because we're not in the Muslim world. We can't change the Muslim world. All we can change are the countries we're in. That's why we focus almost exclusively on the problems women face in the West. But this is total nonsense. Muslim countries often do respond to outside pressure. The Saudi government didn't suddenly change its view of women and then decide to give women the right to drive. Women not being allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia was a source of constant embarrassment for the country. The world made fun of Saudi Arabia. Saudi leaders don't like being embarrassed, so they eventually changed. They would have changed much sooner if the criticism had been more relentless. So the question remains, why do social justice warriors in the West complain about perceived injustices in the West while ignoring or sometimes even defending far greater injustices in other parts of the world? I was watching an interview with Douglas Murray, and he has a theory about that. I'm going to share some clips, and you can tell me what you think. Douglas Murray is an atheist, but unlike many of the atheists you hear from, Murray acknowledges how Christianity has shaped Western beliefs and values. Murray is also openly gay, so keep that in mind as he discusses the Chick-fil-A controversy. The video is about the larger issue of the mentality of social justice warriors. Chick-fil-A is just an example Murray uses. He begins with the most glaring feature of Western social justice warriors.
It's not enough that they believe something. You have to believe it too. I wrote in The Spectator recently about it's a minor thing, but there's a restaurant in America called Chick-fil-A.
Yes, I saw that article.
Chick-fil-A, some of the people, family, it's a Christian family business.
I know I have viewers all over the planet, so in case you're from a country that doesn't have Chick-fil-A, I'll note that Chick-fil-A is a fast food chain that makes really, really good chicken sandwiches. Anytime I say to my kids, I'm going out, do you want me to grab you something? They say Chick-fil-A. But Chick-fil-A is owned by a Christian family. They close all their restaurants on Sundays. And the family has made some controversial decisions that have made their business a target.
Third largest chain restaurant in America opened for the first time in the UK in October, and announced shortly afterwards that it's closing because of protests by local self-appointed gay activists. Because Chick-fil-A in America, the Christian family who founded it, gave donations about 10 years ago to a family-oriented charities, which included opposition to gay marriage and so on and so forth.
So, in the past, Chick-fil-A gave donations to Christian charities, some of which opposed gay marriage. More recently, Chick-fil-A backed down and said that they would no longer be giving money to Christian charities that oppose gay marriage. But, so the thinking goes, their past donations show their true colors. So I doubt that protests against the company will stop anytime soon. There are people who want Chick-fil-A canceled completely. And that tells us something about the people who are targeting the company.
It's not enough that these people choose not to eat their chicken nuggets at this place. You mustn't either. And they mustn't serve chicken nuggets, and they must close. Well, even if the family who run Chick-fil-A are the most opposed to gay marriage ever, I still think if some people want to eat their chicken nuggets, they should have the damn right to do so.
This is interesting. For decades, various marginalized groups called for tolerance. All we want is to be treated fairly and not to be persecuted. We're not telling you that you have to agree with us. We're just saying that we should all get along in spite of our disagreements. And most people can accept that. Hey, I disagree with something you believe or something you do, but that doesn't mean that you're not a fellow human being or that you should be attacked. So yes, let's promote tolerance. But as soon as the scales started to favor the previously marginalized groups, their message suddenly changed from, let's all get along even if we disagree with one another, to, if you disagree with us, we will destroy you. So what happened to the idea that we should all get along in spite of our differences?
But that instinct is not there in the social justice warriors of our time. It's not just that they don't want the thing. They don't want you to do the thing either, or to have the right to do the thing. Because only by total decimation of their enemies can they win.
Yeah. Now think about this. Of all the things you could spend your time protesting or complaining about, why is so much energy directed towards Chick-fil-A or Christian cake bakers or Christian florists? Well, they all did something, directly or indirectly, that shows that they disagree with my view. Okay, but I'm pretty sure there are some worse things going on in the world. Why are you going after Chick-fil-A and that Christian baker and that Christian florist?
How about going back to the courage issue? Maybe these people are all just incredibly cowardly and lazy. Maybe that's all that's going on. You see, it's quite easy to say, I refuse to eat my chicken nuggets at that place in Reading. That's quite easy. I mean, I've spent all my life ducking eating chicken nuggets in Reading. I can keep doing it if I want.
Maybe the social justice warriors and activists are actually cowards who pick easy targets that are too nice to pose any sort of threat. Protesting Chick-fil-A is probably the safest thing in the world. You'd be in more danger rearranging your sock drawer than protesting Chick-fil-A. So perhaps the protesters are cowards who want to feel good about themselves, who want to feel like they're making a difference, who want to have something to post on Twitter, so they go after the least threatening targets they can find. And by focusing on safe targets, they can avoid more serious issues.
If you think that's the main issue in that rights issue, it means, among other things, you can avoid the harder ones. Well, here's a harder one. There are still dozens of countries in the world where it's illegal to be gay. There are still around a dozen countries where you can be executed for being gay. If you're a gay rights activist, mightn't that be a place to start? Mightn't that be one closer to the boat?
But Douglas, those countries are so far away. What can we possibly do? Well, those countries have embassies. Those countries do respond to outside pressure when there is outside pressure, but there is none because social justice warriors are too busy going after Chick-fil-A. And if you're really serious about standing up for people's rights, you can fly to most of these countries and protest there. They're probably not going to kill you for protesting. They'll most likely take you to the airport and put you on the next plane back home. But by that time, you will have already gained international attention for your cause. Why is that too much work? Not only is it too much work, social justice warriors will even defend those countries. If you go to the Women's March, you'll see speeches about how wonderful Muhammad was for women's rights, even though nearly all of the countries that oppress women most are Muslim countries. Why not protest the treatment of women in the Muslim world instead of praising it? Oh, because your perfectly functioning moral compass is sending you after a Christian baker. Again. So, Christian business, easy target. These Christians are too nice to fight back. Oppressive regime, hard target, they might fight back. Which one am I going to protest? If I'm a coward, I'm going after the Christians. But there's another reason social justice warriors and feminists don't focus on the oppression of women or homosexuals or religious minorities in other countries.
It's also, for many individuals, a bit of a hard one. Why? Well, It means you have to make a value judgment. It means you have to say, actually, I think the way we do things in our society is better than the way they do in that society. Well,
that's cultural imperialism.
Deep cultural imperialism. Who are you to say that they shouldn't shove the wall on the gays? And again, much of the lazy, cowardly social justice movements that pretend that they're incredibly brave don't want to get into that.
If we complain about other cultures, then we're saying that our culture is superior to other cultures. But whenever anyone else says that Western culture is superior to some other culture, we call him a racist and a bigot. We don't want to be called racists and bigots, so we'll just keep our mouths closed, even if homosexuals are being executed, even if women are being publicly flogged, even if religious minorities are being horribly oppressed. Whatever else happens, we don't want to be called names. We're the ones who do the name calling. We can't let others call us names. So we'll just focus on railing against a restaurant that serves chicken sandwiches. That'll show them. More cowardice. In the comments, let me know if you agree with Douglas Murray. Why do so many social justice warriors and activists spend all their time throwing tantrums over where a donation went, or which baker refused to decorate a cake, or who said something on Twitter 9 years ago, when they won't dare address far more serious issues in other countries? Are they cowards, or is there a better explanation? Let me know what you think.